Hi, this is Shukla, and just today I'm going to introduce you one of the dynamic personality. I'm talking about Emily Shah, and she's coming in Jungle Fly because her film is just blasting everywhere. So finally, Emily is here. So, ma'am, you're most welcome to join us.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, my question is, this film name is very different, Jungle Cry. So, are you making to cry anyone in the film? So, what is it?
From these tribal lands on the outskirts of Odisha, and so there's this haka cry that rugby players do before every game. And if you watch, the teams out of New Zealand and Australia and Fijian Islands, Samoan Islands, you'll see that they do a haka cry, which is their tribal cry to intimidate the opposing team. So it's very common in rugby to, perform this haka cry, and it's common to do it in their native language of wherever the country is from. And so we decided, we're going to have these boys do it in their native language as well. And so that's how the whole idea of Jungle Cry came about. It was because it's kind of this story about these boys, and not only does it have to do with the haka cry, but it's their cry to the world, of the world knowing about their story and about, their hardships and adversities that they've overcome. So it's kind of their cry to the world to tell their story.
You're an American actress, so this Bollywood, how it is different from from American film industry or Hollywood?
There's not a lot of differences. I mean, I think the biggest difference is that America has a lot of unions and these rules that you really have to follow when it comes to production. But other than that, production is production at the end of the day. So you are creating a film, and the whole process is pretty much very similar. Whether you're shooting in a studio or on location, it's all quite very similar.
But there is Hollywood. I'll talk about Hollywood. There is something casting process because you need to give the proper audition for a particular project. Now Bollywood is following this step. So how you got this film? Say something about it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, this film came about, when I was finishing and graduating college, I wanted to kind of have a Bollywood debut, and I spoke to Shabir Boxwell, who's a good family friend of ours, and asked him if there was something that I could attach myself as a producer on, and a story that was very meaningful. And so he actually presented Shah as well as Jungle Cry to me, and I decided, not that I didn't think Shah was an important story, but I've always had an affinity to work with children, and that too, underprivileged children. And when I heard that nobody in India, I thought I didn't know about the story of these jungle crows in Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences because I'm American. But when I went to India and started doing a lot more research, I realized that nobody in India had heard about this story, not even people in Kolkata, which is the closest, I would say, metro city to Bhubaneswar. And so I felt like it was almost my social responsibility to tell this story because it was a story that nobody knew. And obviously these boys had done so much to get to where they did, and they sacrificed a lot. And so did Dr. Samantha and Paul Walsh. And so I felt like their story really needed to be told because it's so inspirational, not just for your average person, but for children as well that are watching this. So I wanted to attach myself as an executive producer and work with Shabir on this. But I also, when I was reading the script, I realized that there wasn't any female characters in the entire script. And I told Shabir, I said, it doesn't make sense. This was back in 2018. I said, it's 2018. How can we make a story without one single female character? So that's when we added a couple of characters, including Roshni Tucker, is who I play. And it's based off of a physio, actually, in the United States. Her name is Purvi Desai, who works a lot in the UK and Canada and America on rugby teams.
So you done a character of physiotherapist in the film. So how did you work on your character? Because this character is very tricky because you need to take all the information which is this train. So say something about this.
Yeah, so actually Purvi Desai is who I did shadow in Denver, Colorado. I was on a rugby sevens tournament with her. I was literally running on the field when she would have to run on the field. I was by her side learning every single element there is to be a physio, not only during the game, but even after the game, before the game, the preparation that happens, and not even just physical. I mean, even though she is a physio and she's there to doctor them and be their, source of medicinal guidance, she also does a lot of of mental work with these boys, because it is, rugby is a really tough sport and these boys do get concussions. And so to kind of guide them on how to get out of a concussion and the procedures that happen after that, it was something that I never even could fathom or knew about. So I realized that a physio's job is not just on the field, but it's really extensive off the field as well.
This film was completed, I think, in 2019 and just going to release in 2022, So what was the reason behind the, late release of the film?
Well, we were supposed to release April 2020. So we all know what happened. We were in the thick of the pandemic. Yeah. We were supposed to release April 17th or 16th. I can't remember, but it was of 2020. And obviously that was the heat of the pandemic. I remember I was at BBC Studios promoting the film in, I believe it was March 15th. I was there. And March 16th, at that time, President Trump had announced that he was closing the borders. And I remember hearing that at night after coming back from dinner. And I said, there's no way that this is happening. And when I was actually on my way to BBC Studios that morning, I got to BBC Studios and they said, your interview's canceled because we think that your host might have coronavirus. And this was March, and I was, for us in America, and I think anywhere in the world, we were like, this is only a problem in China, so what do you mean she might have COVID? So I didn't quite believe it, but then when we went to dinner that night and I heard that on the radio, I realized that it was something that was serious and we had to get back home. And that night we ended up booking our ticket to get back. So, we thought, okay, this is only going to be a 2-week thing, just like the rest of the world thought. Okay, it's going to be 2 months. Okay, maybe 6 months. Okay, maybe 1 year. We're still kind of in a pandemic. I mean, although, things are kind of resuming back to normal, but
the problem is that we can't predict. We can't predict for next 2 months even. We can't predict.
No, you can't. And that's the scary thing, is because you see these massive franchise films like James Bond, right? And Marvel and Spider-Man and Dune and all these like massive studios pushing their films. And even the biggest stars in Bollywood. I mean, you see, Karan Johar and Yash Chopra and Akshay. I mean, everybody's pushing their films. So we're looking at this like, okay, if these massive studios are pushing their films, when are we going to have that chance to showcase our art and our film? And so that was a really big problem that we were facing. I mean, even Shabir was facing it with Shah, So, it was really nerve-wracking, even, up until just recently the release. We still weren't quite sure up until we, finalized the release dates. But, I'm just thanking God and the universe that the story is coming out and people are going to be able to finally see the story and the dynamics of these boys, because it's such an inspiring and incredible story. Like, you can't even believe what they've been through and what they've overcome and achieved. So I'm glad it's getting out finally.
If I'll talk about the previous days, some Bollywood films, it was a disaster in the, theaters. But if I'll talk about the OTT, according to me, just providing a very good platform, especially those actors, those who getting the work in Bollywood, and they are just helping for the exposure for the new actors, if I'm right. So what's your suggestion? What's your words about it?
Yeah, you know what? Because I'm American, OTT here is king. Nobody really wants to have a theatrical release. Nobody wants to really be in a big film, because we know that the market is shifting. We know that nobody's going to theaters. We understand that. And I think people are finally realizing that in India. They're seeing that, theatrical releases aren't doing well and that people don't want to go to theaters. If you can watch it in the comfort of your home, on your phone or on your device, why would you spend that rickshaw or that cab drive to go there, to buy popcorn, to buy tickets for your whole family, sit in a theater? You can't pause it for the comfort of going to the bathroom, getting more food, anything like that, right? So when you add all those elements, of course, it's way more convenient to watch something on your screen at home. And I think it's an amazing platform for actors, producers, directors, artists to have, because the whole entire world, you get such a vast platform versus just, saying we're playing in 3 screens and three theaters and you have to make the drive. Like, anybody from anywhere in that country or that region, wherever it's streaming, can watch it. So you get a lot more exposure. I mean, I think OTT is the best thing for artists, and I hope that I can continue to have my career and trajectory on OTT, because we're noticing that it's doing so well, even in international cinemas. And international audiences. For example, look at Money Heist. Look at Squid Games. Who would have thought, if you told me 10 years ago that we would have had, a Spanish-speaking show be number one and a Korean show, I don't think anybody would have believed that in the whole world. So I think it gives an incredible platform, and I think that India is on the correct trajectory of, continuing on with OTT and making it a priority, and actors as well making it a priority, and not frowning upon it or shunning upon it, but accepting it with open arms. I think that we need to see what's at hand and see that this is the future, and that this is giving us an incredible platform to be a part of, and embrace it instead of trying to push it away.
If I'll talk about your Jungle Cry, you work with a finest, not finest child, natural actor of the Bollywood, Abhay Deol. So how was your experience to work with him? Means how he is behind the camera?
Yeah, yeah, I do. You say not finest, but I think he's one of the finest because, Abhay, one thing I will commend about Abhay is that he doesn't do any nonsense. He doesn't do nonsense stories. He doesn't do nonsense characters. The art that he puts out there, he believes in what he does. He doesn't. So I guess actors sometimes do things for the money because that's just the beast of the nature. But for the most part, Abhay is very selective in what he does, and people know that if Abhay Deol is doing this film, it means it's a good story. There's going to be a good line to it. It's not going to be any nonsense, any gachara that fills your head. It's going to be something that's of substance. And so I think having him on board, that just came with that. We had that kind of exposure to people where people understood, okay, Jungle Cry is going to be a good story because Abhay Deol is attached to it. And then I think when people go and watch the film, they see it for themselves, whether Abhay is a part of it or not, the story does speak for itself. And then of course Abhay adds that layer of that very grounded, natural type of acting. And that's something that that I really do practice and believe in. So I think we complement each other very well on screen. I think the boys do a phenomenal job with Abhay as well. And I think that they hold and they shine their own light even on screen with him. And I think that the audience will really enjoy it because of that.
My last question is, share something about your upcoming projects.
Well, it's not there's some that I can't really speak about, but the ones that I can speak about are, during the pandemic, I actually took up writing, and I took a couple of screenwriting courses at UCLA. So I always wanted to have, different elements added to my resume that had to do with filmmaking. So I've got executive producer and producing on there. I've got acting, and now I want to add screenwriting and show running. So I want to be able to show run a show and, be a part of that writing and creative process of filmmaking and creating a series. So I actually developed a series, and I've developed 2 films, and I've written these feature films that I'm hoping to pitch to studios in India. They are Indian-based content because I really want to focus on making that type of content for an international platform like the Money Heist and Squid Games of the world. I want to do that for India, and I want to be a part of that magic-making cinema process that India does have to offer and has the potential for. So Shabir Boxwell is attached to one of those projects, so I'm hoping that they hit the ground by the end of this year.
Do you want to say something from your viewers? You can express your feeling about your film.
Sure. The one thing I want to tell anybody who's contemplating on watching Jungle Cry or not, first things first, I do think that, I don't think, I actually know, this is a family-friendly film. You can watch it with your nana, your nani, your ba, your dadu. You can watch it with your 5-year-old brother, with everybody. So please watch it with your whole family, because it's very inspiring, not just for kids, but for anybody of any age. And B, the other thing that I want to say is that studios, like Lionsgate or like Netflix or Hotstar, they have these algorithms of numbers, just like we do with social media. They know their numbers. They know how many people are watching these series or these films. They know how much they're engaged, when they're stopping it, they have all of this right down to a T. And so when they see that people are engaged with a film like Jungle Cry and that they are watching it and these numbers are up, they're going to continue to make these types of stories about these unsung heroes from our community. So I encourage you to tell your friends and family, please watch it. Even if you don't have Lionsgate Play, I think you get like 30 days for free. Watch it. Just sign up, do that free subscription, even if you're not interested, just try it out, because what do you have to lose? It's free anyway. So sign up for Lionsgate, watch the film, tell your friends and family about it, tell your kids to watch it, because it's so important for kids to know that they should be a part of a community. They should really engage themselves in their talents, their skills, whether that's
Motivation.
in arts. What was that?
Motivation.
Yes, exactly. Whether it's in arts or sports or maths or science, whatever that may be, the kids literally are a seed, and if you plant them in a big enough pot and you give them that platform, they will grow and flourish to become this beautiful human being. So please take your kids to watch it. I hope they're motivated by it. I hope you're motivated by it, and tell all of your friends and family to watch Jungle Cry.
I'll say from the side of Emily, my lovely viewers, just go and watch it, not alone with your parents, with your mom, with your father, with your girlfriend. You just go and watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thank you, Emily. Thank you so much to join us.
Of course. And thank you for having me.
Congratulations for your no words. What should I say?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.